Huge.
I got the condensed replay on my TV right now, and they just showed the first field goal, but right before Cooper Kupp, we thought he had a touchdown and ended up hitting the ground before. What was going through your mind when you saw Cooper Kupp running into the end zone?
Well, luckily, I got a pretty good view on it at my TV, and I was watching the game with my fiance. I was like, "Oh no, it hit the ground! It hit the ground!" I saw it like while it was going on, but I was a little bit worried, just for a split second. Like, "Oh gosh, there's the big Cooper Cup play of the game," but he got close to really putting us in some danger there in the fourth quarter. I was getting some flashbacks of the old Cooper Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever root against Cooper Kupp. He's my arguably my favorite athlete ever. My dog Cooper is actually in my room right now. Cooper, shut up. Come here, bud. Come here. Come say hi. Cooper, let's go. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rams Faithful Podcast. I'm JT here with my guy Jordan. Jordan, a huge win yesterday for the Rams over the Seahawks. What are your instant thoughts?
Man, defense, thank God for that effort yesterday because if it wasn't for them, we definitely do not win that game. They were massive. They really stepped up and really won us that football game, to be quite honest with you.
100%. And it's crazy because I made a TikTok like right before we started recording, and I said that they can listen to the rest of my thoughts if they join the podcast and listen to us here. But I gave my brief thoughts, and I basically said one of my favorite sayings in all of sports: good teams find ways to win games they don't deserve to win. And I think that's kind of what the Rams did yesterday. Not necessarily saying the whole team didn't deserve to win that game. The defense deserved to win, but the offense probably played their worst game of the year, which, if they're going to play their worst game of the year at any time, better do it against a really good defense like Seattle. And I have a very close friend who's a big Seahawks fan, and he called me after the game just to talk about it for a few minutes, and he was like, you know, we have like the best defense in the league, so you know, I wouldn't necessarily be like mad at the offense for only putting up so many points, but the points we did put up were very short drives because of turnovers. And speaking of those turnovers, 4 picks from Sam Darnold. What are your what's your takeaway on those 4 takeaways, Jordan?
I wanted to rock the Jalen Ramsey jersey in honor of the 4 interceptions. I hate to hit the nail on the head, but I think Sam Darnold might have been seeing some ghosts out there yesterday. But it was tough because yeah, he threw a lot of interceptions, and the secondary played great. Forbes was great again. Quentin Lake went down unfortunately. Colby Durant had an interception, was phenomenal. Cameron Kinchin's 2 interceptions. But a lot of those interceptions, if you go and look at it, were based off the pressure. So we didn't get any sacks, but the pressure was there. I heard Greg Olson say in the second half, we upped the pressure rate up to 55% of snaps at one point. So while you might not have gotten there in the sack numbers, the turnovers will tell you the story from the pressure.
Yeah, I mean it's been 2 games in a row that we haven't recorded a sack. Is that now I know the pressure rate like you said has been up, but is that something that concerns you that we haven't had a sack in 2 games?
I think that's just gonna be team's game plan, especially if you look at the last 2 teams we played. San Fran, Kyle Shanahan's a genius. Him and Mac Jones were getting the ball out almost immediately. And once again, we did generate a lot of pressure in that game as well, which led to some mistakes on their part. But in this game, too, while we might not have gotten to there with the sacks, the pressure was there, and I'm not too worried about it when you have the guys that we do. I know Verse got a little bit hurt in this game. It was a really chippy game on both sides. I trust Verse. Young was actually really great. If you look at his game just top to bottom, yesterday he was making a lot of plays. So, no, I'm not overly worried about the sack numbers. I think it'll correct itself at some point. As long as you're getting the pressure and you're getting turnovers, I saw 2 interesting stats. Right now in the season, we rank second in points allowed from the defense, and second in turnovers forced. So that is huge. I mean, if you're not the best defense, you're right up there, top five, if not the best. So I'm really confident in the group defensively and the pressure.
Yeah, I think that's a great take, and the defense has been elite. I mean, I'm not, when I say, are you worried about, them not getting any sacks last 2 weeks, that doesn't mean they're not playing well. I mean, they only gave up 19 points uh, yesterday against a very good Seahawks team, and let's be real, Sam Darnold has been a very good quarterback all year long. He was a very good quarterback all last year. For some reason, we tend to have his number. We sacked him 9 times in the playoffs last year, and now this year he throws 4 picks against us. We seem to have his number, but I don't I don't even necessarily think it was all Sam Darnold having a bad game. I mean, did he have a bad game? Yes, but I don't think it's all his fault. I think we also played a very good game defensively. There were a lot of times, there were 4 times where Seattle was in our red zone and we forced them to kick a field goal. So I don't think it's
Huge.
crazy to say that our defense had a phenomenal game and they 100% won us that game. By the way, I got the condensed replay on my TV right now, and they just showed the first field goal, but right before Cooper Kupp, we thought he had a touchdown and ended up hitting the ground before. What was going through your mind when you saw Cooper Kupp running into the end zone?
Well, luckily, I got a pretty good view on it at my TV, and I was watching the game with my fiance. I was like, "Oh no, it hit the ground! It hit the ground!"
Yeah.
So I saw it like while it was going on, but I was a little bit worried just for a split second, like, "Oh gosh, there's the big Cooper Cup play of the game." But he got close to really putting us in some danger there in the fourth quarter. I was getting some flashbacks of the old Cooper Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever root against Cooper Kupp. He's my arguably my favorite athlete ever. My dog Cooper is actually in my room right now. Cooper, shut up. Come here, bud. Come here, come say hi. Cooper, let's go. He doesn't listen very well, if you can tell, considering he's not coming over here. But 1 second. Come on, Coop. Let's go. Cooper!
Oh,
Cooper!
I'm a huge dog person.
Me too. His I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but it's upside down. But his collar actually says, you can't read it from here, but it says Cooper Cup on it in RAMS
Oh,
font.
nice. I like
So
it. I like it.
yeah. All right, Cooper, you have to leave now because we're in the middle of recording a podcast. So bye, buddy. Okay, sorry about that. I knew he was
No,
going
you're
to
good.
start. He was going to start barking as soon as, like, if I didn't let him out there, because he likes to sit up on my window, like, and look outside. But I knew if I let him do that, he's just going to bark at stuff outside, and there's just going to be barking the whole episode. So it's
No, I
probably
get
best
it
that
for
I
sure.
let him out of the room. I'll see him later. But anyways, back to what we were saying about the human Cooper Cup, not the dog. Uh, we thought he had a touchdown, but I am kind of with you on that. When it happened on my live stream that I was doing, I kind of noticed like that didn't necessarily look like a catch. And he kind of, when he ran into the end zone and he was like holding the ball up, almost kind of like, not the Cooper Cup celebrates a lot, but was sort of celebrating, and you could kind of tell he was like, I don't think I caught that football, and he didn't, thankfully. So, but it was like the one time in my life where Cooper Cup scored a touchdown, and I wasn't like jumping up and down because he's my favorite player. It was just like,
Right.
uh, you got to be kidding me. Like I'm sitting here with a Cooper Cup jersey hanging behind me, and he just scored against our team. This is so weird, but thankfully it didn't count. So they end up settling for 3. Rams jump out to a 14-3 lead. They jump out to a I don't want to say a huge lead, but a pretty, comfortable lead in the first half for what the fourth or fifth week in a row. This time the score didn't remain, the same. Seattle made it very close, but are you are you concerned at all that, they tend to be going up by a lot and then they kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit? Does that concern you at all?
Yesterday, it definitely was a concern. I texted my dad a bunch of times and was like, "Man, I really feel like they're getting conservative offensively." A number of times I thought that on some of the drives, especially in the second half. I did like in the first half going for it, but I don't know. It's a concern for me when we get up, like you say, 14-3, and you kind of take your foot off the gas. I thought that we got a good touchdown to get back up, but I would really like to see some of those drives, like getting the ball down the field a little bit more. I thought we settled for just these short yardage runs and setting up for punts way too many times. There was a time I think I texted you, we ended up punting it when I think we were both like, man, we need to go for it on this
Yeah.
fourth down. Like, there were a couple times I felt like that, man. I thought McVay was just like, okay, the defense is playing well. They've forced all these turnovers. We're gonna lean on them and trust them this game. Thank God it paid off. Definitely some questionable calls, I will say, by the officiating, but you live and die with the refs on both sides. So no complaints overall, but I would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness from Stafford and McVay, especially in the second half. It got really dicey.
Yeah. I I don't like to complain about too much after you win. Like, that's their biggest win of the year so far. Was it their most impressive win? No. Was it, their best game played of the year? Definitely not. But it is their biggest win of the year, so I hate to complain about too many things. But if I had to complain about one thing, it would be Sean McVay's play calling in this game. I I hate to sound dramatic, but I thought this was one of the worst games Sean McVay coached in forever, and I really thought that it was a very poor job by him play calling. I thought there were a lot of questionable moves, like you said, when we should have gone for it on 4th and 1. Um, when we did go for it on 4th and 1 on the first drive, and we went play action, which I love when we go play action because it's normally our strong suit. But on fourth and less than a yard, Kyron Williams was dominating early in that game. You either give him the ball or you run a jet sweep to Puka, which you tend to do on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 all the time. And I can't remember the last time it didn't work. So I wasn't a fan of the play calling at all, which, like I said, hate to complain we won the game, but I think people aren't going to give him as hard of a time because we won. But like, let's say the Seahawks make that field goal at the end, and we're sitting here with a 22-21 loss from yesterday. I think a lot of Rams fans like us would be sitting here saying, "What was McVay doing that entire game?" And he kind of gave that game away. I mean, you look at the end of the game, right? The last throw that Darnold throws to, I believe it was JSN, and he called a timeout at like the 45-yard line, whatever it was,
Hmm.
to set up the field goal. We rushed 0 guys. I don't know.
Yes, yeah,
I don't know if
I
you
do
noticed
remember
that,
that.
but
Yeah.
as soon as they snapped it, the defensive line just played back like a zone, and it was like so weird. Like, how do you rush 0 guys and just let him complete a pass? Because if they let him complete that pass and they make the field goal, you're going to look back on that play and say, man, if we rushed and maybe forced like an incompletion, we win, but instead we lose. So thankfully,
Yeah,
the
the
kickoff
clock
missed.
was weird that drive for sure. That last drive. If we can go back to that play action, if you look at when we challenged it, McVay challenged it, and I thought for sure we had that first down. I thought the
I
replay
agree.
was clear. He was well over the line. If you look, the ball was over the orange line. I was shocked by that for sure. I thought we definitely had that first down.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a first down as well. And when the call stood, I was a little confused. And like you said, there was some questionable calls from the refs in this game, but I mean, unfortunately, that's today's NFL, so can't critique it too much. But on 4th and 1, you got to convert there anyways. And I would have been mad if they kicked the 3 points because I always want 7 points. I hate when they have to settle for three. I hate it, but I like the call going for it. I do not like the play call and throwing the ball on 4th and 1. And another thing that really pisses me off, and I know I sound like a baby complaining about all these things after we win, but one thing that I can't stand is that I feel like we're the only team out of 32 teams in the NFL that can't do a QB sneak the right way. Would you agree on that?
I don't think we try it enough sometimes, honestly. I know we have tried it a couple of times, but I think, maybe I don't know how if these tight ends have any quarterback experience like some teams, But I think the tight end tush push works pretty good for a lot of teams. We were the first team. Seattle was 9 for 9 with it on their tight end tush push until Jared Verse makes the play to stop it yesterday. So maybe that's something we look into. I don't know their previous quarterback experience. Something tells me if I'm going back that either Allen or Parkinson played some quarterback at some point, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. I would like to see us try that, but at the same play, or at the same time, I'm not a fan of the tush push in general, and that's not because I hate the Eagles. It's just because I hate the play itself. I feel like it's not football. I know it's not necessarily Rams related, but what are your thoughts on the tush push? Should it be banned? Should it be allowed? Or should the Rams do it more? Just what are your thoughts in general on the play?
I'm all for everyone's playing with the same rules. Here is where I have my issue with the tush push, and when we played the Eagles, it was driving me crazy. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole Eagles game last night, so I don't know if they did it. They are notorious, and a lot of teams are. They'll false start almost every time on the tush push, and the referees are just like, "Well, we can't see it. We can't officiate it." So if they can't officiate it properly, I've heard a lot of people say they do think it'll be banned at the end of the season for that reason. And I'm all for like, hey, we're playing under the same rules. But if they can't officiate it right and they're getting a false start every time, okay, yeah, it's got to go. I mean, I do. Everyone's playing with the same rules. We can tush push, we can quarterback sneak. But I'm confident as well, if it's 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, give the ball to Kyron. He's really good in those situations of getting the 1 yard. So I say at the end of the year, ban the tush push. If they can't officiate it, it just makes sense to just get rid of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Jordan. I think I'm all for, like you said, everyone's playing by the same rules. Like I think Eagles fans think people want to ban it just because the Eagles are good at it, and not every other team isn't as good as the Eagles are at it. But that's not why. It's because the refs can't call a false start on it, and they can't tell because everyone's right there. You can't tell if somebody false starts. And Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, said, "Well, if you slow down every play, there's going to be a false start." First of all, that's not true. And second of all, if you it's not you don't need to slow it down to see it, because when the Rams played the
Right.
Eagles, I don't know about you, but I was yelling at my TV like three different times, like, that's
But
a
yeah,
false start,
it
call
was
it.
obvious.
Yeah, you don't need to slow it down. So I think that's a kind of a ridiculous statement from Sirianni, but I think I think the play needs to be banned. I do, and just because they can't officiate it the right way, and it's not the Eagles' fault. It's the ref's fault because they can't officiate it the right way. So, but like another thing, like you said, just run the ball with Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams had a monster game yesterday, and I know it's sometimes hard to trust him in big games because of what happened, against the Eagles in the playoffs last year, or what happened against the Niners the first time we played him this year. I get it's hard to trust him in big games sometimes, but he's your starting running back. And he was averaging like 20 yards a carry in the first half of that game, and they look, nobody's a bigger Blake Corum fan than me. You know that. But why are we giving the ball to Blake Corum when Kyron Williams has like 19 or 20 yards every carry in the first half? Doesn't
Yeah,
make any
Kyron's
sense.
having another great year for sure.
Yeah. I didn't really understand why. I love Blake Corum and I want him to get mixed into the game plan. But when you have Kyron Williams out there having one of the best games of his career, you know, why is Blake Corum getting more carries? Is that something that's another thing that bothered me about Sean McVay's play calling yesterday. As much as I love Corum, why is he in there more than Kyron when Kyron's having a great game? That doesn't really make sense to me. I don't really get that. So, I mean, like I said, hate to critique so much because they won. A win is a win, but if we look at the standings now, the Rams are in first place. The Rams are in first place, sole possession of first place for the first time this season at 8-2. If you had to give a percentage out of 100, how confident are you that the Rams will win the division as of this very second?
100% confident. I hate to sound too arrogant or bold, but I just think yesterday and the 49ers game, I know we got Arizona here in a couple weeks. I think we have proven to be the best team in the division. Offensively, we got the league MVP. no doubt about it in my mind. I know Josh Allen did have 6 touchdowns yesterday, but they're not playing as good as we are. And they had a great win against the Bucks, but Stafford is still the league MVP. He went out there yesterday, 2 touchdowns, another zero interception game. Not his best game, but I think he's still MVP. I think defensively, Seattle, they have a great defense. I think ours is better. I think we're better. I think a lot of people would say Seattle's got that edge from the secondary. Didn't look like that to me yesterday. Looked like we
Yeah.
had a big edge in secondary, and we were missing two of our best secondary players. So I'm feeling extremely confident in the division. I think we take Seattle out again next time, and I think we 2-0 Arizona, honestly, unless we just let off the gas for that Week 18 game.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right, and I think we have proved that we're the best team in the division. By the way, like I said, I'm watching the condensed replay from yesterday. Great game from Emmanuel Forbes Jr. He was phenomenal for what, the third or fourth game in a row now, because he started out the
Yeah.
year, he was not playing well at all, and a lot of people were concerned about it. But with Akella Witherspoon being out, he has stepped up these last 4 weeks, and he has been phenomenal.
I actually saw a fun stat about that. Emmanuel Forbes, Pro Football Focus, broke it down. Out of like all the corners who have guarded JSN like the majority of the time, he had literally the best game guarding him out of any cornerback this season. And he made a number of plays on JSN. And he made a really good hit. I don't remember who it was on. I think it was on a tight end in the first half. He lit him up pretty good. So everyone talked about his strength and all that, but he's turned into a heck of a football player for us, and he's just getting better and better. Aubrey Pleasant has coached him up great, and I think he could be a potential Pro Bowler someday, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think so too. Does do we have a time that Akella Witherspoon is going to be back?
Oh man, I saw he was projected for like I think he got hurt week 2, right? And it was about
Yeah,
an 11 to 12 week injury. So
hopefully soon.
what we yeah, I think I'm sure we'll hear more in a couple weeks about him returning to practice, but I would say maybe after the Arizona game, we play Carolina, I think. Maybe for him to ease into his way returning around Carolina, maybe. I would expect him to still miss the next couple of games, though.
Yeah, I think he'll be back because we have Tampa. He won't be
Hmm.
back for that game. After Tampa, we have Carolina,
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm mixing it up. Okay.
I think, because I
I
think
thought it
Carolina's
was.
the 30th,
Oh,
and
okay. Okay.
and then it's
You,
Arizona.
you know what? That makes sense, I think. I think that does mark out.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be back maybe in time for Arizona. That would be nice.
Yeah,
And
for
for the
sure.
people watching, we have no clarification that he's come back for Arizona. That's not a guarantee. We're just making a prediction. But it's interesting to see how the standings are going to fold out. Like I was saying before, I was talking about Forbes. Um, the standings are tight right now, and it is going to be even tighter after next week once we play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, what are we thinking about the standings right now, Jordan? As we take a look at them, the Rams are in first, the Bucks are in first, the Bears are in first,
Crazy.
and the Eagles are in first. So here's a look at the standings right here. What's your biggest takeaway outside of the Rams division right now?
Oh, I hate to say it, but my biggest takeaway are the Eagles.
Mm,
After all the struggles they've had, their offense has been pitiful. Another bad offensive performance. Saquon Barkley is clearly not Saquon Barkley from last year. Just the wear and tear that he took, I think, kind of took a toll on him a little bit. I don't think they're quite as dominant as they were last year. All that said, they're 8-2. They're locking up everyone. They're the number one seed. So right now the NFC still runs through Philly, and I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, I'm not trusting anyone to put Philly down except us. So it's just going to be about meeting that challenge when it presents itself. And, righting the wrong from last year, San Fran got us all those times in a row until the NFC Championship. and we ended the curse, went to the Super Bowl and won it. I want to see a similar situation with the Eagles this year.
I like your thinking. That's a good thought process. And like I said, I think I said this last episode. I had a episode back in the summer when they came out with the schedule. I predicted us losing to the Eagles week 3 in heartbreaking fashion. That happened, but I also had us beating them in the NFC Championship game and going to the Super Bowl and winning it. So hopefully that happens too. So another thing that if we look outside of the division, we go to the NFC South. The Falcons lost again. And we have their pick. They're 3-7 now. They got swept this year by the Panthers. By the way, the Panthers are only half a game out of first, which is kind of crazy. But
That is
the
crazy.
Falcons are 3-7. We might end up with a top 10 pick.
I don't know if you saw either, and I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but Michael Penix is out for the season, I believe. He had some sort
Yeah.
of injury yesterday, so I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him. I hope he gets healthy and comes back better than ever. But it could be, actually somewhat of a blessing that Kirk Cousins comes in from them if they're trying to compete. I did also see Drake London got hurt a little bit too, so definitely something to keep your eye on. They're reeling for sure, and that just benefits us all the more.
Yeah, I mean, the more they lose, the better. I don't really see them winning too many more games. I don't know what their schedule looks like, but if they got swept by the Panthers and they are struggling to find any way to win games right now, whether it's their defense doesn't play well or their offense isn't producing enough, they just aren't finding ways to win. And it's great because if we end up with a top 10 pick and then hopefully the 32nd pick as well, it's gonna be sad if Stafford leaves in the next year or two, but if we have a top 10 pick, we could keep going as contenders, I think, and it would be a great situation to be in. But if we stay in the NFC South, like I briefly mentioned, the Panthers are half a game out of first, and we play the Bucks next week. So if we beat the Bucks and the Bucks are 6-5, and the Panthers beat whoever they play next week, the Panthers are going to be in first place, which is crazy.
Crazy.
What are your thoughts on Carolina? Do you think they're a decent team, or do you think it's just been an easy schedule for them?
Actually, before the season started, I got into an argument with my brother. He's a Cowboys fan, and he was talking about, oh, the Panthers are trash. They're no good. And I was like, there. He was like, maybe 3 or 4 wins this year. I was like, I bet you the Panthers get more wins than that. They're not a bad football team. Defensively, they play really hard. Bryce Young, he had a great game yesterday, and he's really just getting better and better. Sorry. My favorite thing with the Panthers is those young receivers. Ted McMillan is a dog, and Xavier Leggett, he's really solid too. So they got a lot of promise coming out of Carolina. I still expect Tampa to win the division, even though they are gonna be on a 3 game losing streak after next week for sure. But I think they'll hold on and keep that division from Carolina. But who knows? Maybe Carolina could be headed for a bright future. They got a lot of young players, and I think they've got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's their division to win the next few years after this year, which I love Baker. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks probably ever. I've always been a big fan of him. I wouldn't bet against him to not win that division this year and maybe next year too. But another division that is a big surprise that one team is leading in is the NFC North, which the Bears are 7-3. And it's crazy to think because out of the four division leaders right now, if let's say the standings stay the way they are at the end of the season that they are today, right? The Eagles would be the 1 seed, we'd be the 2 seed. The Bears would be the 3 seed, the Bucks the 4 seed. Out of those four teams, besides the Eagles, I don't see any of those teams taking down the Rams or being a threat to the Rams. I don't.
No,
And then
definitely not.
you got wild card teams that would be what? Green Bay or Seattle, Green Bay, and the
Not
Niners?
even. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't even Detroit. They're the 8 seed I saw earlier.
Yeah. So if that stays the way it is now, the Lions wouldn't even be a playoff team, which is
Ooh, ooh,
insane.
man, that'd be Rams Niners wild card weekend. That'd be scary.
Ooh, it would be. Oh man. Rams Niners wild card matchup. If it happens, dude, that is going to
That'd
be a
be a
fun
tough one.
week. It's
That
going to be a
would
tough one.
be that'd be a bloodbath for sure.
It would be. It would be. And then I think you'd have Bears Packers too. Bears is the
Wow.
3 seed,
Yeah.
Packers is the 6 seed. So you'd have two of the biggest rivalries in the NFC in the first round of the playoffs facing each other. That would be
Yeah.
something. That would be
That
really
would
sick.
be for sure.
And then you'd have Seattle, Tampa Bay,
The old
which would
Panthers
be
quarterbacks going back at it.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That would be funny. If let's do a little prediction for the bracket. Let's say if it were to end right now, Eagles get the bye. We got Rams, Niners, Bears, Packers, and Bucks, Seahawks. Give me your three wild card winners if it were to start right now.
Well, I'm not picking against the Rams. I think we drop another 40 points on the 49ers, but I think they put up a pretty good fight and keep it a really close game. Got a lot of respect for them. But I think in SoFi, we would take care of them. Um, Bears Packers, that's an interesting one. I don't believe that they have played yet this year, so that matchup will settle itself out. I lean towards the Packers, but the way they've been playing, the Packers have been playing awful, and the Bears have been, they play really good defensively, and Caleb Williams will make a couple of plays every now and again where you're like, okay, that's why he was the number one pick in the draft. So we'll see what happens with that. And Bucks hosting Seattle. Man, I got a lot of respect for Seattle, but just gut feeling, I'd probably lean Tampa in that matchup. I think they beat them earlier this year. That was one of Seattle's three losses. So I think Baker could take care of them again.
Yeah, Baker, they did beat them. That's right. And I think they beat them in Seattle, right?
I don't recall, but it's possible
Don't
for
recall.
sure.
I think it was 38-35 in Seattle. Because I
I
think
think
Darnold
you're
threw
right
for
because I think they were undefeated on the road going into yesterday's game.
yeah. So the Bucks, they lost again. They're 6-4. So the Rams are tied for the best record in the NFC. We gotta do our job and hope the Eagles drop a game or two the rest of the way. And
They've got some tough games, but yeah, they've been playing great. I've been thinking they're going to lose every week, but they just find ways to win, man. They're well coached, got a lot of talent. We know how tough they are to beat.
yeah, we know they're tough to beat. They've had our number the last few times. Um, it it's setting up to be a Rams Eagles NFC Championship, but obviously there's a lot of football left to be played. There's still 7 games left in the regular season, so anything could happen. It's not it's not a lock to have Eagles Rams as the NFC Championship, although that would be my prediction. But if there's any game left on our schedule that you consider a trap game or a game that worries you a little bit, what would that game be?
Say out of the rest of the games, I could be just a little arrogant, but I think we're gonna beat Tampa this week. I think the one to watch out for to get another team. I don't want to say we've struggled against them because we've played them really close and really well, but Detroit, I anticipate that's going to be a hard football game. They have so much talent offensively that they got from the Stafford trade. I still feel good about it. We got the MVP out of it, so. I think we can win that game. I'll never doubt us. Sorry, in any matchup, but I think the Lions one is one to kind of look out for. Like, got to be playing your best that week, or they might get you.
Yeah, that's another team that's kind of had our number, especially since that trade. I think the first time we played them when we had Stafford and they had Goff, we beat them. But that was
Yes,
when the Lions had a very bad team. They won like 2 games that year, and we didn't beat them by much. I think we beat them by 9 points with like a late touchdown or something. Since then, they've beat us 2 or 3 times in a row, including that playoff game 2 years ago. So I would say that's very respectable to be a little worried about that game. If there's a game that I would be worried about, it would be our second matchup against Seattle because Seattle was a field goal away from beating us in our house. Now we go to their house, and I'm not saying I think we're going to lose or that we are going to lose, but if there's a game that worries me, it's that one because they were that close to beating us in Rams house. They can definitely beat us in Seattle. Of course, I do think the Rams are going to win, but like I said, if I have to pick a game that worries me, it's them because I think Seattle's a great team. I think they have the best defense in football. I think you could argue that these are the two best defenses in football with Seattle and LA. I mean, would you agree with that?
Oh man, I'm a huge fan of that Denver Broncos defense, I won't lie to you. Just how I've been preaching for the past couple of weeks, I think a Rams Broncos Super Bowl would be pretty interesting. Just, I'm that old school motto, defense wins championships. I didn't see their sack numbers yesterday. They beat Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I don't know how many sacks they got, but they've been on an 85 Bears, no exaggeration level, sacking the quarterback. So, us, them, Seattle, that's kind of your power when it comes to defenses. Can toss the Eagles in that group too, for sure. But man, I kind of think the Broncos have the best defense in the league, in my opinion. Unbiasedly thinking, to be honest with you, they got Defensive Player of the Year last year, Pat Surtain. I don't know if you saw yesterday. Miles Garrett had another 4 sack game, so I think he's locked up DPOI this year. He's just been a monster.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has been. The Browns actually brought in Shador Sanders because
I did
Dylan
see
Gabriel
that.
got hurt. I saw he went like 4 for 16 with a pick or something. I think that was the stat line, right?
Yeah, yeah, he had a rough one for sure. I mean, it's tough when you're thrown out there. I know the Ravens defense hasn't been anything to write home about, but it's still an NFL level defense with a lot of talent on it. They were coming from behind, playing really desperate. Shador got kind of thrown out there into the fire on a not so talented offense already. I can't blame him all that much. He needs more time and probably a better situation.
Yeah, it's never a fun situation when, you're playing for a team that's like 2-7 and they're on their fourth string quarterbacks. But Baltimore has been on fire lately, and they were 1-5, now 5-5. Lamar is healthy. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens end up making the AFC Championship game. I really wouldn't be surprised because they're 500 now. They are a game out of first in their division. I think they're better than Pittsburgh when they're healthy. And I think they're going to end up winning that division. I think they're going to be the 3 or 4 seed. And they have
Rodgers
more.
got hurt yesterday too.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the 3 or 4 seed. And I don't think they're better than the Patriots and the Broncos, but they're going to have more playoff experience. Not that the Ravens have been great in the playoffs the last few years, but they have more experience getting there than the Patriots and Broncos do with these young teams that they have that haven't been to the playoffs very much in the last few years. So I wouldn't count out the Ravens. I said that when they were 1-5 or when they were 2-5. Now they're 5-5. They've won 4 in a row. I wouldn't count them out. I really wouldn't. So
100%.
I think I think both conferences are kind of wide open. I think your favorites in the NFC are the Rams and Eagles. Your favorites in the AFC are probably the Broncos and the Patriots, but a lot of people have their doubts on Denver and New England just because people think, oh, New England has an easy schedule. Oh, Bo Nix isn't that good. I don't know. I think there's a lot you can look into in both divisions, but or both conferences, I should say. But is there a I think you already answered this question, but is there a Super Bowl prediction that you would have if you had to predict right now?
Yeah, if I'm doing predictions right now, I'm definitely thinking hopefully we can still, rally out the season and steal that 1 seed. I would love much rather to be playing the Eagles at SoFi than in another snowy game at Philly, but no excuses. I think either way we handle the Eagles and the NFC Championship, go back to the Super Bowl. AFC perspective, I agree. It's really wide open. I don't even know if the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. Josh Allen is one of my favorite players of all time, but I don't trust his team around him at all. I like James Cook, but outside of that, I don't think their defense is that good. You saw Baker take a lot of advantage of them yesterday. The Ravens, like you said, they're on a little bit of a winning streak, but I don't think they're anything to write home about by any means. The AFC South is pretty much a disaster outside of the Colts. But I don't know. Daniel Jones has been struggling so much lately. I don't really trust them. So I really do kind of think Denver, maybe Baltimore. I'm with you on that. Maybe Denver or Baltimore, maybe Kansas City if they can sneak back into the mix. But if I gun to my head right now, I really think Denver. I like their defense. The J.K. Dobbins thing made me lose a lot of faith in them. I think he might be done for the year. But if they can figure out the running the football, I still think Denver could find their way to get into that mix and make a Super Bowl appearance for sure.
Yeah, I think Broncos Rams would be very interesting. I think that would be similar to the Bengals Rams Super Bowl because you have the Rams who are obviously a contender out of the NFC, and then you have a young team with a second year quarterback. I think Burrow was a second year quarterback when we played
He
against them
was,
too.
yeah.
So that would be a pretty similar matchup, and I think we would probably have the advantage. But this Broncos team definitely has a better defense than that Bengals team did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it would be
I
a
don't know
tough
if you
game.
saw that mentalist thing with the Rams this past weekend. Did you see any of that?
No.
I Oz the Mentalist, some sort of like mind reader or something. He got with the Rams and did a little program with them for TV. And someone on the team had said Rams Broncos was like their Super Bowl prediction too. So I was like, hey, maybe I'm onto something here. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. A lot of season left though. We got the Bucks next week. Uh, then I think we have Carolina after that. So two NFC South matchups. Before we wrap things up, Jordan, give me a score prediction for Rams Bucks.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Baker, we know all about him from his time here. Egmeka Ibuka, keep an eye out. I'm gonna gut feeling say Bucky Irving is gonna be back. I don't know about Chris Godwin. Um, Mike Evans should be out. He's still on IR, but I think it'll be a close game. The Bucks play close. I think the offense gets a little back right than it was last week. I'm still waiting for that field goal from Mevis, who's still perfect from the extra points. So I'll say 31-24. Good Rams win at home. Wait, it's
All
at
right.
home, right?
Yeah, it's at home. Sunday Night
Yeah,
Football.
31-24. I like that at home.
All right, I like your thinking. I think the defense plays another good game. I think finally we get a few sacks this time. I think we get to Baker a little bit, but I think Baker will still find a way to have a good game. This is going to be a close one. I got the Rams 24-20 your final. So
I like it.
hopefully the Rams can win this, improve to 9-2 would be a huge win, another in-conference win against another playoff contender. So Jordan, any last thoughts?
Man, I'm really happy with the group yesterday's effort. I texted you McVay's old quote about overcoming adversity. I thought we did that so great yesterday. And I don't know if you watch McVay's post game speeches after the game on social media. Do you ever catch those?
Sometimes I
Yeah,
don't think
I love
oh,
catching
in the
those.
locker room. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
he was so fired up yesterday, and I just love this team. They got a really family oriented group, and I just love that about a football team when you really care about the guys around you and care about winning from a football fan perspective. Win or lose, that's all I want to see is that you care about who's around you, you care about winning, and you care about getting better. And I think this team does that better than any team in the league, and I can't be happier as a Rams fan right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to be happy about. Obviously, we're always going to come on this show and there's always stuff to critique. You're never going to be perfect, but hey, the Rams are 8-2 and in first place. It's a great time to be a Rams fan, dude. So, Rams fans, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to this channel and watching our episodes every Monday night. Uh, we record every day after hopefully a Rams win after every game. So in this case, it's been 5 straight wins for the Rams, hopefully 6 after next week after Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football. So until next time, Jordan, it was a pleasure doing this with you once again. Episode 6 in the books, and we will see you guys next time. Go Rams.
Yes, sir. Go Rams. Horns up.